Welcome back to my channel, beautiful witches and spiritual seekers. Today I'm doing some workings, and perhaps if there is time I'll also update my magical spell book. But for today's video, we are exploring one of the most versatile, accessible, and powerful magical allies you likely already have in your kitchen: cinnamon. This warm, sweet spice has been treasured not just for its culinary usage, but for its extraordinary magical properties for thousands of years. Cinnamon is one of those rare magical tools that works beautifully whether you are a beginner just starting your spiritual witchcraft journey, or you are an advanced practitioner refining your craft. Cinnamon is affordable, readily available, and its magical potency is undeniable. Today, we're diving deep into cinnamon's rich magical history, their powerful correspondences, and the many practical ways you can harness their energy to elevate your spiritual practice and transform your life. If you've been sleeping on cinnamon magic, I hope this video is going to change that. So let's begin. Cinnamon's magical reputation stretches back through African traditions and centuries of Black spiritual practice. In ancient Egypt, cinnamon held sacred significance and was used in temple incense and ceremonial practices. The ancient Egyptians understood cinnamon's power to elevate vibrations and connect with higher spiritual realms. This wasn't just some culinary use, it was spiritual medicine, a tool for sacred work. Throughout the African continent, cinnamon and warming spices in general have been integral to traditional healing and spiritual practices. In Hoodoo, the African American magic tradition, cinnamon is one of the most essential spices for prosperity magic, protection work, and drawing good fortune. Black American root workers and conjurers have long understood cinnamon's power for abundance and success. In the face of systematic barriers, cinnamon became a powerful tool for manifesting opportunity, attracting wealth, and claiming personal power. They have been used in mojo bags, floor washes, and prosperity rituals passed down through generations of Black families and spiritual practitioners. Throughout the Black diaspora in the Caribbean, South America, and just all over the place, cinnamon holds deep significance. In various African diaspora traditions like Santeria, Vodou, and other spiritual practices rooted in African ancestry, cinnamon is revered for their ability to accelerate manifestation and draw positive energy. The warmth and power of cinnamon aligns well with the fire of transformation and resilience that characterizes these traditions. Understanding cinnamon's correspondences helps us work with their energy intentionally. Cinnamon is ruled by the sun. This solar correspondence gives cinnamon their qualities of illumination, strength, success, and personal power. The element associated with cinnamon is fire, the element of transformation, passion, action, and manifestation. Fire brings things into being. It burns away what no longer serves and creates the spark needed for change. This is why cinnamon is so potent for bringing desires from the realm of thought into physical reality. From what I find in my own practice, I also feel that Jupiter also influences cinnamon, which amplifies their properties of expansion, good fortune, and abundance. This Jupiter influence makes cinnamon particularly powerful for attracting opportunities and multiplying blessings in your life. So, the combination of solar and Jupiterian energy makes cinnamon one of the most fortunate spices in a magical practice. Last but not least, regarding energy center-wise, cinnamon resonates most strongly with the solar plexus energy center, which is your center of personal power, will, and manifestation. They are also connected to the sacral energy center, which would be your center for igniting creativity and the courage to bring your visions into being. Now, there are many magical properties of cinnamon, but for the sake of time, let's just explore 5 main magical properties. Some I have already mentioned, but I'll also add how they can serve your practice. So the first magical property would be prosperity and abundance. Cinnamon's most celebrated property, as you can imagine, is their ability to attract wealth, success, and abundance in all forms. This isn't just financial abundance, though it certainly works for that, of course, but abundance of, let's say, love, opportunities, creative inspiration, and spiritual fulfillment. So you don't need to limit yourself when you think of the word abundance when it comes to working with cinnamon as an ally. Many practitioners keep cinnamon in their cash registers, their wallets, or business spaces to draw money and opportunities. Many also work with them in this form for candle work during prosperity rituals, or they add them to a floor wash to invite abundant energy into the home. The second magical property is speedy manifestation and action. Cinnamon doesn't just attract abundance slowly over time, it accelerates things. This spice works quickly and with an urgency. So if you need results fast, cinnamon is your ally. They are particularly powerful for time-sensitive goals or situations where you find that you need a manifestation to happen now rather than eventually. And to be honest, this is why cinnamon is often used in love spells when you want to speed up romantic connections, or in business magic when you need success quickly, and also in protection work when you need immediate energetic defense. The third magical property would be protection and purification. Cinnamon is a powerful protective spice. It creates a barrier of fiery energy around you, and depending on the working that you're doing, the experiment that you are doing, it can also create that fiery energy around your loved ones, your space, or even warding off negative influences and unwanted energies. The heat and power of cinnamon makes them naturally repellent to harmful vibrations. Beyond protection, cinnamon also purifies. Burning cinnamon as an incense cleanses a space of stagnant or negative energy. They raise the vibration of any room or object they touch, making them invaluable for clearing after difficult periods or preparing sacred space. The fourth magical property is personal power and confidence. Cinnamon ignites your inner fire. They strengthen your sense of personal power, boost confidence, and helps you step into your most authentic authority. So if you're about to face a challenging situation, whether that is a difficult conversation, a presentation, a confrontation, no matter what, working with cinnamon beforehand can help you show up in your most powerful self. I can imagine many performers, public speakers, or pretty much anyone who needs to command a room. I can see them working with this cinnamon before these big moments. And in this way, it gives me the energy that cinnamon is the spice of presence and influence. And finally, last but not least, the fifth magical property is psychic enhancement and spiritual connection. So overall, cinnamon heightens intuition and spiritual awareness. They do this by opening channels to your higher consciousness, which makes meditations deeper and more profound. So burning cinnamon incense during divination work, meditation, or any kind of spiritual communication, it would enhance your receptivity to messages and insights. From my understanding, the warmth of cinnamon, it creates an inviting energy that spirits and guides respond to. And cinnamon is not this aggressive or harsh kind of spice. They are welcoming and elevating, which makes them perfect for ancestor work and spirit communication. Now, if you're needing further inspiration, let's get into the practical magic, the concrete ways to work with cinnamon, because boy, oh boy, there are many, many ways. But for example, you can make a quick prosperity spell. You can even do a cinnamon money oil. Now for the oil, you can use any oil that you have or feel called to use, but consider infusing cinnamon with sweet almond oil or even jojoba oil. Something else that you can do is like a protection bag that you can carry in your purse, car, or even on your nightstand for personal protection if you need it for such a thing. You can even use cinnamon with other protective herbs. They would work really, really well together. Something else that you can do, which I also mentioned before, is a cinnamon smoke cleansing. If you do this, pay special attention to corners, doorways, and windows. This is particularly powerful after conflict or any illness or any kind of heavy emotional periods that you may have gone through. Another practical application that you can use cinnamon for would be for any kind of cinnamon tea for manifestation, any kind of manifestation. Now, when it comes to consuming cinnamon, there are precautions that I will mention later that you will need to be aware of, okay? But we'll get to that a little later. And finally, I would say that the last two spells or rituals that I would mention would be one, a spell to speed up results. So for example, let's say that you have already casted a spell, but you need to accelerate the results. Then you can do a spell for that utilizing cinnamon. And last but not least, you could do a confidence or courage ritual where you are literally stepping into cinnamon's fire energy. Now, before we get into the cautions and considerations when using cinnamon, let's talk about the different forms of cinnamon and how to use them, because cinnamon comes in different forms and each have their own best use in magic. So, one, we have our cinnamon sticks, right? These are perfect for burning as incense or carrying in bags or placing on your altar, for example. One thing to note about the cinnamon sticks is that in the stick form, they do burn slowly and release their energy gradually. So you can use them when you want to have a more sustained, long-term manifestation energy. Then you also have the ground cinnamon, and this is ideal for sprinkling on things or making teas or even creating some kind of spell powder. So when you use the ground cinnamon, it has a more immediate concentrated energy. So using the powdered form of cinnamon is best when you need quick results or want to mark some kind of sacred space. Then you also have the cinnamon bark. And the cinnamon bark can be broken into pieces and used very similarly to the sticks. And for some practitioners, they prefer the bark because it gives like a raw kind of energy, right? And last but not least, you have cinnamon essential oil. Now, when you use cinnamon essential oil, this should be diluted before any kind of skin application, okay? But cinnamon essential oil is wonderful for anointing candles. I've even seen some practitioners use cinnamon essential oil on crystals, though I don't do that in my practice. So, do what feels called. But you can also use cinnamon essential oil on your altar spaces. And definitely, I would say that a tiny drop goes a long way. So use this form of cinnamon when you want a very concentrated, potent energy in a small amount. Personally, for most magical purposes, I keep both cinnamon sticks and ground cinnamon on hand. Now, obviously, before we close, we have to talk about the cautions and practical considerations that are very important to consider when using cinnamon. Now, overall, cinnamon is generally very safe, but there are a few things to keep in mind. If you have a sensitivity to spicy scents or flavors, start small with cinnamon magic. Some people find cinnamon's heat intensity quite overwhelming. So you can always work up to using more as you adjust to their energy. People with cinnamon allergies should obviously avoid consuming it, though working with it externally, like on candles or in bags, is usually fine. But if you are unsure if you should even be touching it, it's best to do a small patch test or see a professional to help you answer that question. Lastly, if you are consuming it in a tea or whatnot, a very little goes a long way. I remember one time I put cinnamon in my pancakes. Not for any magical purpose, I just really wanted pancakes. And because I don't normally use measuring tools, I accidentally put way too much cinnamon and I had a slight headache all damn day. So don't be like me. Use a little and or talk to a professional or do some research on the most appropriate amount. Like I said, don't be like me. When burning cinnamon as incense, please be sure to have good ventilation. Cinnamon smoke can be quite strong, and while it's not harmful, it is potent. So use it mindfully in enclosed spaces. From a magical perspective, cinnamon's speed and intensity means that they work quickly and powerfully. So if you are not ready for rapid change, go easy with them. Some practitioners find that cinnamon manifests so quickly that they need to be very clear about their intentions, because vague wishes become vague results, but amplified. And that's not always, well, it's a good lesson, but that's not always a good thing. And lastly, I want to mention, when it comes to considerations, at least, is that to always work with gratitude and respect for this powerful spice. Cinnamon is a plant medicine that has been used and honored for thousands of years, so approach them with that reverence. Cinnamon is one of those rare magical ingredients that is simultaneously humble and powerful, accessible and profound. If you were to ask me, whether you are just beginning your magical journey or you're a seasoned practitioner, cinnamon deserves a place in your practice. From attracting abundance and speeding manifestation to protecting what matters and igniting your personal power, cinnamon is a true multi-purpose magical ally. The fact that they are already in most of our kitchens makes them also one of the most practical tools we have. I encourage you to start working with cinnamon intentionally. Pay attention to how their energy affects your life. Notice how quickly things shift when you invite cinnamon's fire into your magic. And let this humble spice teach you about your own power and potential. But anyway, my beautiful spiritualists, occultists, and witches, thank you so much for joining me in exploring cinnamon's magical properties. If this video resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe for more plant and spice magic content. Leave a comment below if you feel called in sharing your favorite way to work with cinnamon. I'd love to read about your experiences. But anyway, beautifuls, until the next time, truth and love.